Hi everybody, my name is Sherry. Welcome to my stamp studio. Before we get going on today's tutorial, I want to remind you of a couple of things. One, this would go first then. The 10th of the month is the last day that you can sign up to be part of my online card club. So if you go watch this video, it will have all the details. And if you're on my email or you go to my website, there will be information on how to join card club. So this month we are using Nature Sweetness. And then this week, I am going to be doing a showcase of Saleabration products. So Saleabration, if you're not familiar with it, is January and February every year. And during this time, you can earn free products. So there's a couple of different ways you can earn them. One, you can join my team and then you get this glass mat, plus some, your starter kit is a great deal. For every $50 or $100 you spend, you get to choose something out of this catalog. And I'm going to show you two of those options today. Well, two levels. I'm going to actually use 4 things on the card because I want to try to get through these. And this year the catalog is huge. The other way is if your order is over $300 and you spend $300, then you get an extra $30 of free product, whatever you choose. So you can either gather orders together with your friends, or if you have a giant wish list, then make sure it gets to 30. If it's at $275, go ahead, because you know that's girl math, right? You spend $25 more to get $30 more in free stuff. So today the main, well, did I show you these? No, I didn't. This one uses the Most Adored paper, which is the Valentine paper that's in here, and I do have that ready to go later this week, so be watching for that. And then on this one, I used the folder, and I'm going to show you the folder on this card as well. So if you want to see those items used, you can go check those out. I am going to try to use the Valentine paper as Valentine. So today I'm going to use Cradled in Love. So this is free with a $50 purchase. It's a sweet little set. It's a nice one if there's times in your life where you feel like baby cards are just coming and you need them all the time. And then there's other times, kind of where I am, where you need an occasional baby card. So it's a great set to have if you're at that stage and you just need to whip one out now and then, because it's free and it's adorable and you don't have to pay for it. So I'm going to use that. Then I'm going to use the ribbon. Let's see if I can find all these things in here, because it is a big catalog. If you don't have one, I'd be happy to send you one. So I'm going to use the opaque faceted, I can't talk, gems. Those are also free with a $50 purchase. So see, if you spend $300, not only do you get the extra $30, you get to pick all these things for free. And then I'm going to use the ribbon and the folder. I don't know which one comes first. Here's the folder, and it's free with 100 because it comes with a stamp set. It's called Softly Sophisticated. I may have missed the ribbon, but I'll show you the ribbon. There is ribbon in here. It's just, here it is, free with 50. And it's a really fun ribbon. So let's get going on the card. I have minimal supplies really. So I'm going to use the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. It comes in a smaller size. So this is what I have left, which I didn't stamp on it very well. I should have stamped more towards the bottom from my original card, the one that I've made as my template. So I'm just going to try to fit everything else on that. So it's the Fluid 100 watercolor. It allows you to add way more water to your paper than if you tried to do this on white or vanilla. Then I'm going to use pecan, and then I have some of our glimmer paper, and I'm going to do these couple of things first. It's a little bit out of order, but I want to put these on my card and have time for them to dry. So here is, what's this called? It's right here. It is not Saleabration. It's the mini alphabet dies, and this is new to the January mini catalog. So you can see you get some if you're going to make words in other languages. So as an English speaker, I won't be using those. If you do know other languages, or if you know a language teacher in high school. My daughter used to be a Spanish high school teacher. Those are always fun to use for that occasions. And then there's some symbols. There are no numbers. I wanted to show you that so you saw that there are no numbers. It's the mini alphabet dies. And so I just need it to say joy. So I don't want to cut all of this out of the glimmer paper. So I just cut 3 little squares, and I'm just going to lay them on my die and run them through like that. And then I'm going to use the Softly Sophisticated folder and run it through on my cut and emboss machine in a smaller piece of pecan pie. This is 5 by 4 and 3 3/4. So it's a little bit smaller than a normal size panel. So let me do this. You can see this on the folder. It has a softly sophisticated, it's not an overt pattern. It's nice for a card like this where there's kind of a lot going on. And then here are my letters. So you can see you flip them upside down and then just go over the top. And they're nice and slender, so you can see those small pieces of cardstock were more than enough to cut out my joy. And the reason I wanted to do this first, this isn't the order I did my card in, and if you're making it, you don't have to do it this way, but I want to glue these on and have them be able to stick before we go to the next stage. So I'm going to do this and then let them dry. Let's go ahead and fold this in half just so it doesn't take up so much space. And then I'm going to take my fine tip glue. I'm going to start with my Y. I'm just going to add them on here. If you just kind of drop them at first, then don't kind of smush them down, you'll be able to move them if they're not exactly where you wanted them to be. Get my O. This folder makes it nice for doing this because you can kind of line them up to the lines on the folder. And then our J. And you can see because they're tiny and I was holding them, you could use the adhesive sheets on the back of this, which would be nice. But because I was holding them, the tops don't have any glue. So I'm just going to take a clear block and put that on there. The nice thing about the clear block, you can see my J kind of moved a little bit. So I can move this over just like that. And then I'm just going to set this aside and let this dry. I'm going to move it to set it aside. I'm using my glass mat because I'm going to watercolor, but there's not a lot of space on here. So let's emboss this. So you can see, because this doesn't have any dies, it's just a standalone stamp set, I've gone ahead and put all of them except for one, because I couldn't get them all to fit, on this one block. And then I'm just going to cut them out. It's a little bit faster to stamp them like that. It also gives you a little bit more stability if you tend to rock. Although on this one, because we're cutting them out, it doesn't matter if you catch a little bit of the edge. But the more stamps that there are on here, the less likely it is to rock. So I've got, if I had done this the first time, I would have a lot more space. Now this is a lot of stamps and it's watercolor paper. So I'm going to stand up and press really hard. There we go. So we have those, and of course you can't see. And then I have the little rug. I would have had to use a bigger block probably to get them on there. So put it all the way up here at the top. And because there's just one, it's easier to not stand up. If sometimes you find that your images aren't stamping very well, try standing up and giving it a little bit more pressure. I'm going to emboss it in black. It's kind of a retro card, embossed and watercolored. Just dump it all on there in your little tray. And because you can't see it, it's hard to know where you're pouring it. And then you can see it. The first time I did it in Memento, and it wasn't quite stark enough. I guess I could show you that at the end, and you can see why I switched. I started to watercolor, and then I thought, no, I'm gonna switch it. So get your heat tool. It's much easier if you sit in one spot with your heat tool and see it melt. And then just kind of move it on. Otherwise, if you're waving it, you're bound to miss it. And on a card like this, where it was not colored behind it, if you brush it off when we paint it, it'll just be invisible. So this way is a better way to ensure that you get everywhere. I see so many people do the wavy thing. And you can see that it says Bundle of Joy. We're going to use, our joy is going to be a lot bigger on our card. You could do the same card without the letters and just leave the words that way. Okay, that looks like I've got it everywhere. Fingers crossed. It's easier to do these cards on a day that it's a little bit sunny. Now let's watercolor. My idea with this card was twofold. So I started with these because I wanted to show you some celebration items. We have the embellishments, but also if you've been to many baby showers the last year or two, you know that neutrals are really in. Like you can go to the whole shower and everything's in brown. I went to one shower and one of the great grandmas asked why everything looked like baby poop. So it's just the colors that are in, which is perfect if you want to use these. I did add some freesia. That's probably me going outside. If you went just with these colors, the last few baby showers that I've been to, like the clothes, the nursery, everything in those colors. So it's a good place to start. But I want it to be light. I don't want it to be, I love me some color and I love to color. So it would be very easy for me to do a lot of color on this card, but I don't want it to, I want it to be softly colored. So I'm going to use my water painter because this way I'll be able to control the color a little bit more. I'm going to grab a wet wipe and keep this here. So I'll be able to take my glasses off. So I'm going to add a bunch of water, which it hasn't all. The first time I added a bunch, it's still over here in the corners. It dries pretty fast when you do this. And I'm going to go mostly on this first cut here with just a little bit of color. So I've given it one basic coat. There's these things back here. I want them to be really light, so I'm not going to add any more water to their paint colors to this. I'm just gonna use that. Now I'm gonna take this, and I'm in a couple of places where the Stampin' Up! Artist has put more black. That's where I'm gonna add just a little bit of shading. I want it to have some. I just don't want the overall card to be dark. So we'll give it just a little bit now of second coats of pecan, but not everywhere. And then these places that have more black, I'll just kind of add to it. So there's that. Then when you switch colors, just rinse out your tip of your brush. So once you have that, so it's dripping just water and not color, let's go with Calypso Coral. There's not a lot of that on this card, so you can see where I just added a tiny bit of water down here, because again, I want it to go light, and then I'm going to add a little bit of highlights. So there's a little bit of Calypso, which the embellishments are Calypso Coral. I'm fairly certain. After I got them out, I was done with the card because I thought that's the color they were, and they're very, very light. So Coral has that. It can be light, obviously, like this, if you use it this way. If you get too much water on your brush, I accidentally picked up the big one and went and filled it up with water. So should have turned on all my studio lights before I started picking out my supplies. Now I do want to have a little bit of dark in this. So now if I just get some ink and not get the water and add it to the water that's already in there. And the really nice thing about embossing, oh, and look, I didn't color that stuff with a pecan, so we'll have to go back. But the really nice thing about heat embossing it is that it's raised up, so your water stays in the lines. Now, let me go fix the things I didn't get pecan. And rinse that out again. Hopefully this time I'm done with that. Now, if there's a tiny bit of pecan left on any of these, I don't really care because it kind of helps add to that kind of rustic feel. And if I was a mother now, I would probably go with the neutrals. That's the colors I live in. If you know me, my favorite colors are going granite, not going granite. Is it going granite? I feel like this is going to be a migraine week. So I've taken some migraine medicine and it makes me lose my words. Granite and Pebbled Path. So I'm right there in that neutrals. So I'm just going to add some paint on here first. And then I'm going to add some water. And remember, we've got the embossing on most of it up here. It's very artistic, so it doesn't have lines all the way. Now on this, you can probably see I added refill and just a drop. And then when I'm done, I'm going to smush it into there. So it's kind of killing two birds with one stone. I'm getting some ink in a much more concentrated form. And then I'm going to re-ink my ink pad with it when I'm done. But it allows me to get this nice dark on here. So we have some darker freesia. And then let's make the mattress pad in here also freesia. Now let's rinse this out. We have two more quick colors. There's a little bit of freesia in that I could have rinsed out. I want my brush a little bit better. And then let's get our little whale. And now I have some daffodil, and I'll get the moon and the underside of the whale. And this one, yeah, I did not add any refill to because there was plenty in here and I needed just a little fraction of it. Okay, I'm going to take my snips now and I'm just going to hand trim this out. And in your time, it will be no time. All right, I've trimmed these out. So let's get the card put together. I'm going to use the pool party ribbon. Hopefully there's enough on this. Yeah, there's enough. I'm going to tie a bow. It's fun. It's a nice, it is a crinkled ribbon and it's got a nice texture to it. It holds bows really well. So I just want a little one because there's a lot going on in this card, but this does have a nice baby feel to it. So tie the bow, get the knot good and tight, and this is way bigger than what we need, but then it's easier to adjust it down with that nice tight loop in there. And then you can just kind of keep adjusting it. So that's good. It's not pulled super tight, but we're going to glue it to our card. So just trim a little bit off. Anytime you can work from your spool, you will save more ribbon than cutting it and then tying a bow. So then we need to figure out about how far down we can add this stuff. So I have this going off slightly off the top of my other card, which I thought was kind of cute. So it goes about there. So that tells you where you need to add your bow. So let's go for our bow right here. Because you want to make sure that you're not going to cover up the word joy, but that everything's going to fit. So before that gets pressed down here super hard, let's go ahead and add these things and make sure that they fit. I'm not going to press anything hard because then you can move it. So just lay it on there, give it its placement. And it's because I'm using the seal. You can also do the same thing if you use the liquid glue that I just used. That's how I did it on my first card. These are kind of big to use liquid glue, but if that's what you have that's movable, repositionable, then use that. Stick that in there. Yeah, that all fits. So we're going to go ahead and push that down. To add this, I thought about adding these with a dimensional, but I felt like there's enough on the card that those kind of are fun on their own. On the first one, I cut in between those. It was hard because this watercolor paper is much thicker paper. So again, we want to make sure that this isn't going to get covered up. So I'm going to just go ahead and put it where I want it to be with adhesive, which we can do that. Sometimes you can just let the ribbon do its own thing, and other times you want to kind of control it. And this is the time I want to control it. Here it is. Where's my card? I'll have that ready to go on here. And this, and then we'll add the bundle of. And then our embellishments. So I want all the colors. There's 3 colors. You don't want to use an even number of embellishments unless you're doing something where it's 2 things, like wheels or something. So they come in 2 sizes. As you can see, these are all cut up from my Try It class. And we've used mostly the larger sizes. So I have lots of little ones. So let's do 2 of the pool party. And then we'll do 2 of the coral. And then I'm going to do 3 of the pecan. And you just want to kind of space them out so they're around. So since we have 3 of these, I can do them in all the sections. So I have this section down here. Up here where I was already going, and then over here where I was going. And there we go. Super sweet little card. That's what happens when you cut them all up for class. Yes, we have this. Here's my other one. This is what I mean by trimming this out. It kind of looks a little nicer. And always when I'm on when I'm taping for you guys, I always do darker than I do my original. I like it a little bit lighter. And when you've used the watercolor, the water painter, you can go back in and just blot it up if you put some clean water on there. So there's that. Remember to check out all of the Saleabration things and join me back here later this week for another Saleabration showcase. Bye.